4-0. 4-0. Barcelona 4, Borussia Dortmund, nothing. That's not just a scoreline. That's a statement. That's a sermon. That's a warning shot to the rest of Europe. And maybe, just maybe, the start of something we haven't seen in Catalonia in a long, long time. I don't even know where to start. Should I talk about the movement, the control, the ruthless beauty, the quiet rage in Lewandowski's finishing, the effortless cruelty in Raphinha's delivery? Should I begin with the teenager lighting Montjuïc up like he was born with spotlights in his boots? Or should I just let the silence say it? Because what we just watched, that wasn't just football. That was a performance. That was a theater of dominance, a canvas of motion, of geometry, of clinical violence wrapped in silk. 4-0. And let's not pretend Dortmund didn't try. Let's not reduce this to a simple mismatch, a collapse, a flat tire on the Autobahn. They had their moments. They had shots. They had openings. Guirassy had a couple where you thought, maybe this turns. But no. No. Because when Barcelona smell blood now, they don't just bite. They carve, and they never ever stop carving. We'll talk about the halves. We'll get into how this game bled out minute by minute. But before we go into the turning points and the tactical scaffolding, let's just be honest with ourselves. That was jaw-dropping. That was Barcelona. Maybe not of old, but of now. And right now, that is terrifying for the rest of Europe. Because what's more dangerous than a great team? A great team that's having fun. And that, tonight, was fun for them. Maybe not for Dortmund. Maybe not for anyone hoping for a contest. But for the neutrals who love the game for its poetry and its power? For those of us who live for nights where a team doesn't just win but declares something, this was as good as it gets. And now, we ask the question, is this the best Barcelona we've seen in a decade? Or is this just the beginning of something even better? Let's go deeper. It started like a flicker. Just a few sparks from Barcelona's front line. A half chance here, a little jink from Yamal there. You thought, all right. They're testing the wires. But then came the surge. You could feel it. Like a storm forming over Montjuïc. The first half wasn't just football. It was foreshadowing. A tease. Dortmund held on for longer than expected, stubbornly, nervously, like someone clinging to a ledge with sweaty hands. You saw it in their clearances, their rushed passes, their frantic defending. They knew the dam was creaking, and then, finally, it cracked. Raphinha, of all people, the Brazilian firecracker who looks like he's always one touch away from chaos, sliding home the opener after a scramble that felt more like destiny than design. It was messy, yes, but it was earned. It was deserved, and it was coming. You could smell the goal in the air minutes before it landed. And from that moment, it was as if Barcelona collectively inhaled and Dortmund exhaled all hope. But let's not lie to ourselves. Dortmund had moments. Guirassy could have changed the story. Brandt had a flash. Even Reina, late on, gave a ghost of a scare. But every Dortmund chance felt like an exception. A break in the script. This was not a two-sided tale. This was a one-act play and Barcelona were monologuing all over the stage. The second half? That wasn't football. That was execution. Cold, fast, and surgical. You blink and Lewandowski makes it 2. Dortmund coughs it up, Barca slice through, and boom, it's 3. Lopez to Yamal to Lewandowski again, and suddenly it's starting to feel cruel. The kind of cruelty you almost feel bad watching, almost. But when Yamal made it 4, that wasn't cruelty. That was art. That was speed meeting precision at the intersection of pure instinct. His finish was the touch of a player not just full of talent, but dripping with confidence. A player who knows the light is on him and is dancing in it. And you know what struck me? The restraint. Yes, restraint. Because Barcelona could have scored more. They should have scored more. But after 4, they didn't chase humiliation. They chased control. They wrapped the game in velvet and held it to their chest. They passed with the arrogance of a team that already knew they'd won. Not just tonight, but next week too. Montjuïc, that old Olympic Coliseum, hasn't seen many nights like this. Nights where the football itself feels like a performance piece. It wasn't just the goals. It was the way they came. The tempo shifts. The emotional architecture of it all. The way the second half unfolded like a symphony. Each movement more commanding than the last. Dortmund were ghosts by the 70-minute mark. Haunted, not just beaten. They had no answers, because by then, the questions were being asked in a language they didn't understand. This wasn't a game. This was a passing of judgment. First half, warning. Second half, sentencing. And the final whistle? That was the gavel. Barcelona didn't just win. They declared. They stepped out onto the pitch and said, "This is who we are now. Believe it." And I do. Oh, I do. Barcelona knew who they were tonight. And more importantly, they made sure everyone else did too. This wasn't just a good performance. This was identity, sharpened to a point and driven straight into the chest of the opposition. From the very first whistle, they played like a team that knew exactly what they wanted to be. Aggressive, expressive, elegant, and cold-blooded. They didn't care if you pressed them. They'd play around it. They didn't mind if you sat back. They'd carve through. It was like watching a team not just execute a game plan, but enjoy the very act of executing. The movement off the ball was poetry. The triangles in midfield, surgical. The link between Yamal and Lopez, the chemistry between Raphinha and Lewandowski, all of it humming, all of it intentional. This wasn't a team improvising. This was jazz with a metronome. Flick's fingerprints were everywhere. The tempo, the transitions, the ruthless, vertical elegance. It wasn't tiki-taka. No, this was something steelier. Like tiki-taka took a few boxing lessons and learned how to hit back. And Dortmund? They looked like a team caught between ideas. Were they supposed to press? They tried and got passed through. Were they meant to sit deep? They did, and got pulled apart. It's not that they were terrible, it's that they had nothing to impose, nothing to make Barcelona uncomfortable. When they had the ball, they hesitated. When they lost it, they panicked. The contrast was brutal. One team looked like they knew the whole script. The other looked like they missed the dress rehearsal. I don't want to crucify Kovac. This squad has flaws, and they were exposed. But where was the structure? Where was the bite? The midfield at times looked like a rumor. The back line played like they were hearing voices. They weren't just beaten technically, they were beaten psychologically. By the end, you could see it in their body language. Heads down, gaps widening, runs not tracked. You know that feeling when you're trying to hold on to something, not to win it, just to stop the bleeding? That was Dortmund from minute 60 onward. No resistance, no belief. And the difference in mentality? Night and day. Barcelona looked hungry, not just for goals, but for dominance. They didn't ease up. They didn't fall into that trap of managing a 2-0 lead. They smelt the fear. And like any great predator, they finished the hunt. There were no nerves, no conservatism, just rhythm, just trust. That's culture, that's coaching, that's belief. This wasn't just talent beating talent. This was clarity, crushing confusion. Identity, overwhelming hesitation. It was one team with a vision versus one team with a handful of scattered hopes. You could almost feel the momentum shifting on a continental scale, because when a side plays like this, when a team makes this kind of statement, it echoes. Europe heard that tonight. Whether you wear white in Madrid, red in Munich, or sky blue in Manchester, you heard it. Barcelona aren't coming. They're here. Raphinha was a revelation. Not because he did something we've never seen from him before, but because tonight, everything he can be, he was. That electric, unpredictable edge. That sense that at any moment, something beautiful or violent could happen with the ball at his feet. He was decisive, dangerous, and devastating. The assist for Yamal's goal. That pass? That's not a cross. That's a whisper through a keyhole. And the goal? Right place, right time, right instincts. If Lewandowski was the executioner, Raphinha was the architect of pain. He buzzed in spaces Dortmund never knew existed. He made defenders look like they were wading through fog. Then there's Yamal, 17 years old. 17. And playing with the calm venom of a veteran who's already seen this game from every angle. What he did tonight wasn't just impressive. It was unbelievable. The way he glides, the way he shapes his body before he even touches the ball. It's like he's 5 seconds ahead of the game. That goal? That was surgical. That wasn't a kid hoping to score. That was a footballer knowing exactly what to do and doing it with total clarity. He doesn't just belong at this level. He bends this level to his will. And Robert Lewandowski, cold, just ice. He didn't need 100 touches. He didn't demand the spotlight. He waited. And when the chances came, he struck like a scalpel. 2 goals, both wrapped in composure. One a header from close range, the other a clinical drive. And every time he scored, there was this eerie calm to it, like, of course, as if the net had no choice. And maybe it didn't. Fermin Lopez deserves a spotlight too. He's not the flashiest name in the headlines, but watch the replay. Every third wave of attack seems to begin with him. The timing of his runs, the intelligence in his movement, the understanding with Pedri and Yamal, it was mature beyond his experience. That assist for Lewandowski, the way he shaped his body to cut the ball back perfectly in stride, that's a player who thinks quickly and moves even faster. A connector, a glue guy. And tonight, he was the spark behind the fire. On the other side of the pitch, it gets murky. Guirassy had a chance to make it a game. More than one, actually. But on a night like this, you don't get many second chances, and he let his first slip. A moment missed. Julian Brandt was lively in the first half, a little mischief maker in the right half space, but he faded. Slowly, quietly, like a candle in the wind. By the time the third goal hit, he wasn't asking for the ball anymore. And Emre Can? I don't know where to start. He looked lost, gave the ball away, missed tackles, dropped too deep, pushed too high. It was like he was playing 5 positions and getting none of them right. He's meant to be the shield, the heartbeat. Tonight, he was a void. You want to talk about performances that define a season? Look at Barcelona tonight. Not a single player let the standard drop. From Szczesny commanding calmly at the back to Koundé sweeping danger with silk and steel, even Cubarsí poking that first goal toward Raphinha like he'd been planning it all week, the touch of a center-back with imagination. This wasn't about stars showing up. It was about everyone showing up. And when that happens, you get a night like this. This has been Across the Pitch. Over and out.